Recording
We
in
will.
progress.
Recording in progress. Look at you guys. It looks like Disney put you together. It's like one of those like Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears type things. Like
We
if I
forgot to wear
didn't,
our denim.
Yeah, I could have braided my hair and made it real.
really could work. So, ladies and gentlemen, home, I'm here with the Cabbage Patch Kids. Yes, you heard that correctly. This is a Mandela Effect. The Berenstein Bears, whatever,
Okay.
Cabbage Patch Kids. So check your timeline. Anne Rice just wrote Interview with a Vampire, Sex is in the City. The Cabbage Patch Kids never existed. And these are the Cabbage Patch Kids. So, what's up, guys?
Hey,
How's it going?
it's so nice to see you. Well, like see you, but see you.
See you, right?
Yeah,
It's been a few years.
it has.
Alex, I've never met you.
Not officially,
Yeah.
but
Not
the
officially.
eat meat feels real.
Exactly, right? Exactly. I missed you while you guys were here, and then you took off. You went and did your thing. So let's start with you because and before we go, okay, you're Alex, right?
Yes.
And lady, what's your name these days? You've got like 700.
I have 9 aliases, but it's Hannah. I don't use my real name on the internet often. I just like the anonymity of not, but Hannah is my name, and we'll go by that.
I like them. They're all very clever.
Thank you.
So let's start with Alex. Dude, I've looked through your Instagram. You've lived a life. I want to hear where this all comes from.
Sure. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version because a big part of my job is talking about myself. So it's a thing that you like and dislike at the same time. But let's see. Grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where we are currently a little town called Freeport, which is kind of similar to the outskirts of like 25 minutes north. You can get anything you want 5 minutes one way, 5 minutes another way. You could have very metropolitan area, very podunk university, cows and farms in 5 minutes another way. So a little bit of everything suburbia in one little area. I grew up my 2 siblings, older brother Adam and Osti, both parents still in the picture. Lisa and Ike, if you're watching, big shout out to you guys. Grew up, my dad played professional sports and was ironically my middle school principal. So a lot of different elements to that of living up to a standard and having to, be way accountable, but then any achievements I ever got was never because of my talent or those achievements. It was because he was the principal. And then my mom owned a dance studio and still does, which is ironically right next door to where we are currently staying. And she worked my dance around my sports, thankfully, because after going to school to study medicine, I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. Then flipped the okey doke on them and said, nope, going to New York City to be a big star. So that happened the end of my junior year of college. And I was in there for 4.5 years, which was super cool. I got a lot of awesome opportunities, got mentored by one of the best people in my existence and a very interesting guy that she got to meet and we got to work with while we went back to visit New York, which was a very fun full circle moment for me. And then now I've been out in Los Angeles for almost 7 years, and that's where we had met. Mm-hmm. And we've been entertaining about every medium possible, from dance to music to creative direction, choreography, you name it. One time my job was to press play on set. So and stop, play, stop. I got a little bit of, a little bit of everything here, but and then that's led us to today where we are currently making music and figuring this thing out together.
Very nice. Your turn, lady. I know a bit of this, but not all of it.
So I grew up in Canada. I think we went to the same high school, but not at the same time.
No, but I know your high school.
Yes, I think I know your high school. And I grew up, same thing, kind of a small town north of the major city of Toronto, and got through it. I danced my whole life, when I was ready to graduate high school. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was a junior lacrosse player who had the opportunity, if I wanted, to go to school and do that. I didn't really want to. It was just kind of an option, and all my friends were like, if you don't go to college, you're gonna die poor. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just do that anyways and be an entertainer. So I chose that route.
Do it anyways, but have fun with it. That's what
totally. If I'm gonna, we're all gonna end up in the same place, I might as well enjoy my time. So I got hired, which was very lucky and very fortunate, but right as I was about to walk across the stage for graduation, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. Disney called me and were like, hey, we are going out to Europe in a couple months on a cruise ship contract. We want you to come with us as a performer. So I got to sing, dance, and act, all three of the things that I had been working on right out of high school. So that was best case scenario in a worst case scenario that could have happened for me. I still was 18. So mind you, I started this wildly young and had to learn about the world wildly fast. The town we grew up in was super small, not a ton of diversity, not a lot of culture apart from our own. So it was a big eye opener, but one that I really needed to then be successful going on. And music's always been a massive part of my life. I've been playing music as long as I think I can remember, but never seriously. I just did it. I was never confident enough to make anything of it. So I didn't. And then we over the years kind of met and brought that back into reality, and that's kind of been the main focus for us lately. But we're still, the bills get paid in the way that people need us artistically. So sometimes it's dance, sometimes it's music, sometimes it's whatever it is, but that's kind of where we're at now.
All right, well, Alex, were you involved with Disney as well?
No.
Okay.
It was funny that you said that, and about the Justin Timberlake video, and we would have really done fulfill that prophecy.
Dude, I played conspiracy theory circles, so I was kind of making a joke, but if it turned out to be true, I would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, right.
When did you guys start Cabbage Patch Kids? How long ago?
Oh my gosh, 2 years ago almost. It was kind of a joke at first, to be honest with you. We both had so many things that we did. We met dancing in Los Angeles. That's how we met. We were adjudicating and dancing still on the grind. And it was something we both, one night we're talking over a beer, and where he was like, oh, I recorded a song with Mims once. And I was like, what? And I was like, huh. So we shared music back and forth, and as a joke we were like, why don't we write a song? And we did, and then it ended up being decent. So we were
after we did that, it was totally a joke. It was
it was a total
joke. You did music in your previous life, I did mine. Why don't we see if, and coming from two very different music backgrounds, to see if we could, we have this running joke hilariously that if two things run at each other fast enough, rather than just exploding, they just combine really quickly. They become one big thing, it's a weird monster. And so that was the monster that came out of it. And then we ended up writing 3 songs quickly, and then that turned into 6 rather quickly. And then we've just been rolling ever since. But 2.5 years roughly.
2, I think.
Ish.
Yeah.
Nice. You guys did something recently that involved a film.
Yeah.
I think it was one of your music videos. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what was that all about?
So we wrote, Toronto was in quarantine for 10 years. It feels like we just, I know. And so for a big part of that, we had been living in LA and obviously paying LA rent, and LA was shut down. So we packed the car up, and literally anything we could fit in the car came with us. Anything that didn't fit in the car did not come with us. And we drove across the country back here. And then after that decided we were going to go back to Toronto for a little while. So we stayed in this really not awesome Airbnb, long-term Airbnb on the Danforth in Toronto. Like
Tons of potential.
tons of potential. It was
Tons of
it was
potential.
quaint and cozy, as the real estate agents put it. But it was fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it had the necessities. We had like a mattress and a kitchen that worked sometimes, so it was fine. And we had gone through in the period of quarantine losing some friends, that not COVID related. It was, other stuff had happened, and we never got like the goodbye, the closure, we never, in a regular way that you grieve someone, a lot of people missed out on through COVID, because you just can't, you just couldn't, right? There was no way. And we had this one really like terrible evening where we were kind of just letting all that out, like just feeling, sitting on our stupid floor, just like just like really sad. And so we wrote the song called Good Old Days, and it was basically about how by the time those days in your life are over, when you realize they were that, you're already kind of reflecting on them, like you're thinking about them in hindsight rather than in the time. And that was one of those. And we were just being super freaking sad little idiots, and came up with this concept idea of shooting a music video based around the idea of capturing people then and now. So we found a fantastic cast of people, most of them from your life specifically, because we shot it in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That he had known from like all of these different parts and different sections, and had them bring old photos of themselves from a different time. And then we put those in a frame and shot then and now. And just to show like the contrast of time and just how like quickly things go if you're kind of just letting it happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we really wanted to hit on the idea of this, the good old days, right, has a little bit of a negative connotation to it, because that applies that you're living in the past, or like that was the peak, right? That idea, whereas we wanted to kind of reinvent that idea of more so just special times with people that you may not get a chance to spend time with again, like reinventing the idea of the good old days. And then throughout the music video, we see all the people with an open frame for like whatever's happening right
Capturing the now.
And like this at one point will then be a good old day. So yeah, just kind of the idea of really living it in the moment and cherishing it, rather than we live our lives in such a look forward manner, but kind of turning your head side to side is just as equal to like turning it backwards and looking at that too.
Yeah. And you got to share that at a film festival.
Yeah.
You guys picked that one up.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we weren't expecting, I mean, film festivals are weird because you obviously have to submit and like sell yourself, right?
The politics behind it are very bizarro land.
Yeah, bizarro. So we submitted to this company called Liftoff that are international. They're everywhere. And we honestly, again, it was kind of a joke. Like we were like,
we'll see what happens.
We were like, there's no way this is gonna happen. And then
some things happen.
They chose Good Old Days. They picked it. And we won. So now that video that we like literally poured our own hearts into as a way of, it was very cathartic experience for us individually, but it was our way of kind of expressing this stuff for other people to share too, because everyone's going through it in one way, shape, or form, everybody. And now the fact that gets to be shared with so many more people in London and in LA on these like giant film festival screens is freaking cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hope, and it's like a pipe dream, right? You put this thing together, and anybody that's created any piece of art, from drawing you did in second grade to a multi-million-dollar feature film, you still are putting a vulnerability with that out there, and the last thing you want is like this this is terrible, that kind of thing. And when you put something that is so close to the heart and especially like people that are now a part of our lives, not just mine. And it's just like you want to do right by them as well, and that whole other back end aspect that you don't see. And yeah, it was very refreshing to get a little bit of go team from somebody who had no idea who we were or who they were, and it just kind of respected and appreciated the art.
Yeah.
That is very cool, because yeah, it is kind of a bit of a crapshoot, right? You throw your material in, and you a lot of people are just like, even people who've like sunk a lot of time and money, they're kind of like with a lot of film festivals, just kind of put it in and then walk away. And
Yeah. And usually the world's just like,
yeah.
Yeah. Did you get to travel between places as they were showing it?
It's not, so they're not showing it till next year, which is exciting.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be in the 2022 festivals. So hopefully, I mean, that would be very cool if we could actually.
Yeah, world pending.
Yeah, world pending.
World pending. If that is a viable option, then I would love to do that. And
Totally.
I mean, they of course encourage everybody to show up, but if that's a true possibility, like yeah, we hope to be there to kind of, you know, if they do a talk back or they do a little explanation thing, and it's just so much more personable in person. Obviously, that is so redundant, but you know, when you're in the room with somebody, to feel the energy, to feel the back and forth versus I feel like Zoom has become such a heavy medium for this, and like the fact that we get to do this, but if we're in a room, right, the ebb and the flow is just a little bit different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on this podcast, just to like kind of avoid the censorship, typically avoid the main words. So the thing going around, I call the joy. You can get the joy, you can spread the joy.
Yeah.
Kind of taking it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people get a lollipop for the joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people remain sugar free, just
Yeah.
just you know, just in case that yeah. So another thing I like to hear just for myself, and I think other people do too, is just what it's like in different places. So what is Pittsburgh like with the joy?
The joy is
It's definitely a roller coaster. Certain areas are very pro, and then now some of the places are job related. You have to, you know, see if you have any joy or not to participate.
gotta get your levels tested.
Yeah, if you're coming in sad,
Your
you know, if
glucose
you don't,
levels.
if your glucose levels aren't right, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, the new wave that is here is kind of spreading out. So there's a lot more people with the joy are still being affected, that kind of thing, and it's getting a little bit more tricky to operate because of that.
Yeah.
So it's very much, for our work, like that was for me personally, I can't even, like, traveling, that kind of thing, there was no questions asked because that's my livelihood. And to kind of figure that out, I'll figure that out later because if I don't have enough money to live, I can't do so, and you know, that kind of thing. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, and I'm a joyous person as is. I hope that's brought through the
like the expression.
Oh yes, both ways. Let's keep it both 2 times Tuesday. And I know it is Wednesday, but we'll, you know, crank it up. But yeah, no, it's very touch and go.
Yeah.
Any where you show up, there's definitely a mixed bag, but more people are trending towards it for the general purpose of living.
Yeah.
But there's all the, you know, you're never gonna not have the it's a two-party system.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Obviously Toronto's gone crazy. So
yeah, saw that.
Yeah, like
yeah.
From afar.
Well, yeah, people are starting to fight over whether or not you've got that lollipop or not, right? And that's
and just
that's where things start to get slippery. Do you guys have any type of like the passport that we have here? Is there anything like that?
Not as there is there, but it's not nearly as serious as far as participation.
Yeah.
It's in talks a lot with work. things, which is a very hot topic, and understandably, how could you not be? But the idea of it, the one way to the other, and the I don't know. I'm a very live your life as long as you're not hurting anybody else in the process.
Yeah, there's just so many variables.
Yeah, do what you want, but also
Yeah.
don't be a total. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Don't be a total asshole. Like that's, I mean, there, just be aware, be self-aware, be, and your beliefs are your beliefs. And I respect anybody's that differs from mine, but also I hope that's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, there should be, right? And like that's a lot of what I try to, whenever the topic comes up on this podcast, that's really all I'm asking for at the end of the day. Like I don't expect people to avoid it. I'm not one of those people who thinks, oh, you got it, you're gonna die, like it's all over, you know what I mean? Like, but I personally have no need to do it. I actually just ended up getting an antibodies test for a second time, and my antibodies are actually higher than they were the first time. So it's like, and I haven't been sick. Like I tested positive. I got to work one day and I was super hungover.
Yeah.
So and we had to get tested every day as we went in. I didn't think anything of it. I came back positive. I'm like, oh, okay, well, guess I'm not feeling it because I'm super hungover. So I went home and I did, what you would do for a hangover. I had a nice salt bath. I got my body temperature up. I got my fluids in. I made sure I ate a lot. Had a nice hot sleep. Woke up the next day, felt fine. I worked out I worked out the next day. I was fine. And they told me that Toronto Public Health would get in touch with me, but I didn't hear from anybody. And so about 3 days later, I just called work and I'm like, guys, I haven't heard from anybody. What's up? I'm like, I'm fine. Like I've been fine. And they're like, well, come in and do a test and we'll see. So I went and did the test, was fine. Came back negative and right back to work. Right. So it's like, I don't work there anymore. I let the job go because they mandated the lollipop.
Right.
I don't need it. Like it doesn't make sense, right? And there's also the part of me that thinks that if I say, yeah, it's okay for you to take my job away or threaten my job because I haven't taken a medication that I don't need, that it's like that's just going to echo into my future, and I wasn't ready to do that personally. But I can totally understand, like if I play music as well. I used to be in a band that would play shows, and I can understand, like I even feel it. It's like I can't do that unless, right? And it's such a shitty choice to put people in where it's like whether it's their livelihood through their job or like us as artists, our livelihood through art, you're trying to threaten that based on whether or not I take a lollipop or not. That's really, really, really wrong.
Yeah.
No, I wholeheartedly one of my good buddies' work is currently, in my opinion, doing it in a very appropriate way. No matter what, lollipop, no lollipop, there's weekly and bi-weekly tests to where if that's the case, the same as any, like if that's what that is an equal opportunity playing field, because then no matter if you didn't choose, you still are subject to the same playing field as if it's a positive or a negative, then go forth and do your thing.
Testing's the only thing that makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
That's what we say all the time.
Right? Like, just make it a level playing field.
The same work that I'm talking about, they don't test people now that they've gotten all the people who haven't taken the lollipop out. They're not testing people now. And that makes no sense because lollipop doesn't stop you from catching the joy. Lollipop does not stop you from spreading the joy.
We just had to go get some glucose tests today.
Right.
Because it's spreading around to people.
Exactly.
With the lollipop still.
Exactly. And it's like, for whatever reason, our governments and definitely our news media is not catching up to the fact that the science, right, is telling us that this joy isn't what you guys thought it was and projected for. Sure. And this lollipop is not working as a solution, and it's not going to. So we're going to have to approach this differently. They can test for antibodies as well, right? Yeah. Yep. And the funny thing is like any of the comparative tests, people who have just caught the joy and been okay have higher antibodies than people who have taken the lollipop. Right. And the lollipop antibodies seem to be going like this, where the natural ones seem to just be kind of hanging out there, kind of like they've always done for, millions of years of human evolution. And then we also have the mutating joy and whatnot, which, can you point to another time where that's happened this fast and in this way? Like, either one, it's not happening. We're just kind of being told that it's happening. Because I have a good question for you. Where can you go figure out which version of the joy you have? Right? Like, didn't you?
Which one? Wait,
do you guys have glucose or fructose, or
Yeah,
like what are you guys full of
Are you
right
a
now?
stevia?
yeah. Where are you at on the
Exactly.
Yeah,
We don't know that. So
Right. No, you're right.
once again, they're using it as part of the division, though, and throwing that in the face of people who are sugar free, and that's
Working.
really not right. Like,
Yeah,
I was literally watching, like, I know an older man who runs around our neighborhood. He's, I don't know, probably in his 60s. He's very fit. He runs all year round, every day, 5:30 in the morning. You see him running by, and I actually saw someone fight with him who was a very large, overweight man. And I see him also in the neighborhood. He has to sit when he has to wait for the streetcar for too long.
Mm-hmm.
But he was screaming at this man for running without a mask. Right? And
Outside.
you kind of got to wonder what's going on with our world.
Yeah, no,
It's funny to see it both places, though. Like, so from Canada to the United States, and then from the cities to the outskirts and in different parts, is very interesting seeing how it's portrayed, seeing how it's spoken about, seeing like
we did 13 states, I think, on that road trip.
And like the propagandis.
We'll call it the propaganda.
The propagandis in each place was polarly different almost every single stop that we made. Whereas, I don't know, hindsight is 2020, and you can look and say, everyone's kind of figuring out their situation as you go, and for the greater good, if we're going to do that in quotes. But yeah, it was very interesting, and even still, it continues to go, looking at the roller coaster that is what's happening. Yeah. So, I mean, I just am very slow to, I'm a very middle of the road generally person.
Likewise, yeah.
Just because as soon as you, like, that's what the propagandis wants you to do, right? I'm supposed to jump on one roller coaster and middle finger the other one, rather than wait in line and see which roller coaster I want to be on based upon what I see and how I feel personally. Where I'm like, oh, you want to go on that roller coaster? That's dope. All right, I'll catch you after. We'll go get a cotton candy together. Hang out.
So I've noticed that you guys do like some wicked photo shoots together. I was just going to ask, which one of you is the brainchild behind that stuff? I had a feeling, but
I feel like it's quite even. We have like a yin and yang type of brain power, I feel like, where his is the like light, kind of cool, easy thing, and I'm the other side. I'm down here. I'm down there. But the two of them together create a really cool middle ground, I feel like. We are currently writing our first full-length album right now, which is a concept album that we're quite excited about.
Which is all over the map.
It really does dive into exactly what we're talking about, just kind of the inner workings of your mind and how that plays out based on your own personal experience with the songs and with what you go through in the meantime. So I think that there's no leader here. We just riff ideas until we come up with something that's cool, and then we're like, oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, our process for the most part is like either a blanket idea or something like, wouldn't this be cool? And then it's an improv sketch until we get to what we're looking for.
Always a joke before it's not.
Oh yeah. It comes with a heavy punchline, and then we just go back and forth, and then that actually might work.
They're like, oh shit.
Let's write that down. Let's write that down. Write that down.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that with the Good Old Days video, that it was like it had that kind of very serious vibe to it, but then there was like, it came across through some of the pictures that was probably just natural from the characters that were in your videos, but it definitely still had that like make you laugh, make you chuckle along with like maybe
a little happy cry, a little happy cry.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as an artist, I understand, you know, growing up and using art as the outlet for, you know, our kind of fucked up worlds and the fucked up world around us, right? So I guess it plays out one way for males, and it's I think it's more accepted if in a lot of ways, which I want to come back to, but I don't think it quite is for young ladies, right? Especially like, you know, you've expressed that you're kind of, your artistic expression kind of comes in from there, is where his kind of comes in from here, and you guys meet in the middle. But like, obviously, and I know this because I've seen you play. Like the first night I ever met you, I walked into a room and was like, where the fuck is that voice coming from? I'm like, whoever that bitch is, she means exactly whatever the fuck she's saying. That's for sure. Right. So, yeah. What was it like growing up? You know, trying to figure out a way to express that as a young lady who's probably like, I mean, you did end up with Disney, so I know that you have that side to you as well, but like, that's the direction they kind of wanted you to go, right? And that was the direction that was seen most appropriate.
Yeah, and I mean, you know me, and anyone that knows me in real life kind of giggles at that, because they're like, what? and that was just it. I mean, it was in the arts, it's hard to, especially when you're new and young and 18, that was the most exciting thing that could have happened to me at that time, right? And although, I mean, I could write literally a book on that whole experience and what it was like overall in the grand scheme of things, because I do use my own brain, it ended up being okay. But I mean, before that, I was not quite that. I was not quite the, you know, I don't even know how to word that.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, not really my vibe. But I had a weird upbringing, and I mean, I know you guys know this, but for those of you who are listening, music is weird as a woman because there are a lot of gatekeepers that think that there is no place in it for women, or there was only one place in it for women, which is usually not for them to actually use their voices, if that makes sense, which sucks. And it sucks to say that, but here's another curveball. I have an uncle who is one of the rock music pinnacles of our time, which is very cool. My uncle was Neil Peart of Rush, which is awesome. Love him. Literally one of my favorite human beings. However, that also added fuel to the fire of those people who then, that was not my success anymore. And I was instantly somehow compared to Neil Peart. And I was like, what the hell? Like, how do we even, and it made people hate me, and still does to this day. I get weird messages sometimes. People who don't know me, they've never met me a day, they know nothing about me, that just send me like some weird spews of weird, fragile, gatekeeping, musical god masculinity, that I'm just like, dude, what is that? And I always tell them before I go into the studio, I make sure that I'm 100% sure what key that the song is in. I make sure that I know all this stuff, even though it's like, I make a huge deal out of it, because I'm like, if someone asks me and I don't know, I now look like I have to prove myself as a musician even harder. You know, there's that, like, there's a lot of more extra work that goes in behind the scenes as a young woman. And not so much, I mean, I'm like not a young woman anymore, but that's something that I'm just like, medium. Yeah, I'm a medium, but but something that I grew up being accustomed to. I had to make sure that when I was doing load in, I 100% knew all my settings, everything, because I constantly had eyes on me, people waiting for me to mess up, because that was like very much a thing. That is a thing, and not just for me, for like all female, especially if you have an instrument in your hands. I'm like, what is that? You can't make a mistake. I don't know, but I mean, I trudged through it. I'm kind of an asshole, so
I can see you really moved past that one. Yeah, we really overcame that one there.
you become a weird jaded to it.
No, I mean,
it
I was
pisses
making
me off,
jokes,
but
yeah.
still, like, young me would be very angry about this. And I mean, I encourage, if there's any young women listening to this, be angry about it, because you should. It's not something that needs to be a thing. It's something that for a long time I allowed to be a thing for me, because I was afraid to screw up. So I became insanely particular about what I was doing, to the point where it just like wasn't fun.
That's a good message for sure.
Yeah.
A recent example of that like really paying off. I had listened to Halsey,
Yeah.
right? I heard the song Experiment on Me, which was on the Birds of Prey soundtrack, and I really liked that. I listened to her other music, and I was like, the first album was pretty cool, but then everything after that, I was like, oh shit, they got a hold of her.
Yeah.
And shit went bad, but her newest album was done with Trent Reznor and Atticus
Yeah.
Ross and Inch Nails, and it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Right? And you can
What
like
an odd
hear it.
partnership. But
I
it's
know.
so good.
Yeah, it's so good. Like I say it's like the best Nine Inch Nails album in years. You know, like, I've actually joked with Shane from Unraveling that you also know about like, can't we just get a new singer for Nine Inch Nails? Like, could we just do that? Like, I think Trent's kind of damaged his voice one too many times, and
he's perfect he's perfect behind the scenes.
Exactly, right. And so and then that album came out, and I'm like, yep, we were right. You know?
You are called it.
So
Right.
equally on the other side of artistic challenges for men, and I experienced a lot of this growing up. Like I was into, you know, I was into drama, and I wanted to be in fucking musicals, and I wanted to be in plays, and I wanted to get in front of people and make jokes, and I was always the person like doing speeches in school and all that kind of shit, right? And there was so much bullying based on wanting to do that stuff. If I had a quarter for every time I was called gay, you know, I actually like, I think one of my nicknames in high school was curly fag, because I have curly hair and I was into stuff like that. Dude, I was making out with a girl in a school hallway, and this guy comes up to me, he's like, hey, fucking curly fag. I'm like, dude, you're walking with 5 guys and I'm making out with a girl.
I'm the one you're making out with.
So is that a Canadian thing, or did you have to deal with that shit too?
Well, I will say that my like high school experience was very individual. So I was fortunate enough to have both sides of that. So like I played AAU basketball. So then my AAU basketball friends came to my dance recital, or but they like kind of did what you would think would be the opposite of that. Like, you're around and you know, teenage boys, the hormones are going, and like, oh, you're doing that. Like, we're here with a bunch of dudes sweating all over each other. Let's go to your thing, because we can talk to all these girls and hang out. And it was just like a very almost opposite. But I will say, like, one of the I played football, and one of the hilarious signs that they run through was Isenberg, that's my last name, can't dance through our line. So like it was like very known that was like an aspect of my life. And it was, I mean, it came in waves, but fortunate for me. And I know that in my life, if I hadn't done those things or hadn't been fortunate enough to be good at those things, that my life would have been very different because of a few people that did that. But fortunately, on the other side of that, I was able to set the tone, and for a couple of people, you know, eliminate that's should be looked at that way. Like, I played on the football team, but I also was in the musical and was able to do a little bit of both. So it made it a little less stereotyped. but again, I know people for sure that was a part of, and moving forward, that was always under the breath of people when would be, playing. And I don't know, again, my people tried to do that. It just, I had thankfully a group of people, the support system, that my 6'4" huge buddy was just like, what was that? Like that, yeah, right. So it was a very much an individual experience, but I know plenty of people that it was 100% that day in and day out. And then even in the bigger schools where you had, 1,000, 1,200 people in a class, you look at that and that it was as stereotypical as like these people that were, well, what you want to do, art? Huh? Want to express your feelings? Like, oh gosh, wow. Wonder what they're doing now.
Yeah, what are they up to now? That's what I want to know.
God bless their wives and their side piece boyfriends.
Yeah.
You've done some acting too?
Yes.
Can you tell?
Oh wait, what?
Oh, I can tell.
No, I mean, yeah, I really fell in love with it accidentally. I got asked to do something based on my general idiotisms. But yeah, and then I really like doing that now and am more into that just because it's a new adventure and you get treated so much better as an actor than a dancer. You actually get treated like a human. So that's something I'm pretty into these days.
What have you been doing so far? Like
a little bit everything. I found myself getting cast more in drama-based stuff, which is kind of funny because I believe maybe this is just like a thing I'm putting out of the world. I think I'm a little more humorous than that, but all of the oh, you saw it. It's recorded forever in there. But yeah, no, a little bit of everything. Some comedy stuff, more drama based, but I feel like that's easy. And going back to full circle, that with men growing up so often, it's like showing emotion is weak, or like you should hide it, right? Like that's not, be strong, be tough, whereas so often being tough is being able to be confident enough to show said emotion, and way healthier. What comes with the opposite of that is, I think, look at the generation above us. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, a little bit of everything, a few web series, a few films. I just did a hilariously bad film, and I'll say that out loud. It was supposed to be a real horror movie, but it's going to look like a total satire piece. I will share that with you. No one else will be allowed to see it. But it is one again. Who baby?
I'm totally gonna edit it into this podcast.
I hope.
There's already been flashes, like Fight Club style. There's already been flashes going on.
Yeah, you're lucky I'm still with us right now.
One of those things. But yeah, I feel you about the high school thing, because I was lucky too in that I was kind of friends with all the different groups, and I did play football. I was a wrestler, and people knew that I was into martial arts and stuff. So I didn't get like physically bullied. It was always just the little bit of name calling and the stupidity, right? But I'm glad to see, because you're a little bit younger than I am. So like just to, like how much it's faded out. And how quickly has been really nice to see. Like I used to fight so often in public school, and my younger brother never fought in public school. You know what I mean? Like it kind of ended that quickly. We seem to be learning at kind of an accelerated rate. And I think a lot of that has to do with, I think that the human race as we are is going through some type of an evolution. And I think that's got related to a lot of different things that we're seeing in the world, including the kind of like proclivity for division. Not that that's not being helped by media and social media and all of these sources, but I think that we're almost hardwired to do it a little bit more quickly these days. And I think that has something to do with something that's going on with our whole planet. But my point, I had one and I might have lost it. Oh yes, is that technology is also kind of like just snowballing or growing at this like exceptional rate. And as it affects art and artists, it's kind of opening up this door that could be a really, the door has really bright light shining through it, let's put it that way, for artists, because we all know how this has gone. Like, you sell your masters to a recording company or a distribution company, and it's gone. Like, you get a very small percentage of what your art earns, and that's the way that it's always been. But now through this door, we see this light that is kind of whispering to us this promise of, actually, you can own your own masters.
We're right here by the door right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and you guys are like
kind of doing our homework.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go, because it's like, it's the perfect time. You guys have kind of put the band together at a, so to speak, I know it's not a band, but you know what I mean, put the band together at a time where it's ripe for that. And you also have kind of like a look and a feel that's very much in line with all of that. So I was going to ask if you guys have been looking into things like the NFTs for your music and that type of thing.
We have. Yeah. Actually, I messaged you about it last week because all of a sudden, I mean, out of nowhere, I feel like if you're not in the club with that kind of stuff from the get-go, you find out about it like way later. I very much have not been in the club for these things, so I had to play catch up so fast, because I was like, I thought an NFT was like a bank thing for like a lot. I heard people talking about it, and I'm like, man, my friends are really trying to get in on their investments here, which not incorrect, but I truly did not know. And now I'm all caught up. But we had some really cool conversations over the last few weeks about what people really are doing with that, and like what that means and what that's going to mean.
Yeah, which has been the coolest part for what you're talking about, someone like ourselves, where we're not at the bottom rung, but we're by no means in the top area, which we don't necessarily want to be in that, 1%, because like you said, you don't own you don't even at times own your likeness.
You don't even own, you don't even own yourself.
You now like, yeah, right, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, but that whole thing, truly though, and what that is able to do is allow a different version, and these people that are not feeding into, like, they're doing their own thing. They're not going to absorb into that culture of it being all the same things on that platform.
Yeah.
And we've really been doing a lot of research and fun little deep dives and conversations with people that are kind of in the same boat as us to see where it
or
fits.
Literally in the
boat. We're paddling quite hard.
We're like, what does this all mean?
Yeah. And to the door, right?
Get us in the door.
Going hard, but I think it opens up another realm for expanding the vision and allowing more people to be in, rather than the gatekeepers being like, okay, yeah, you come on, you come. No, not you. Yep, I don't think so. So we're very excited for this new wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can't talk too much about my club on this podcast. That's my Patreon podcast. But I guess what we can talk about is, as performers, the introduction of something like a multiverse will become something brand new, right? Like, I think the first thought experiment that I run people through with it is stand-up comedy, because I think it translates the best. But the problem with like stand-up comedy when it comes to like doing it through a Zoom call or something like that is it just doesn't translate the same, because you don't feel like you're in the room, right? You don't feel like you're part of the group that's all laughing. I'm sure there's some things you could do to trick your mind by like having like a laugh track that plays out from two speakers back here and then through the main speakers. But for now, it's not there. But with the idea of something like a metaverse, you will have that kind of thing where you are convinced you're kind of in this room, or at least your senses will make you feel a lot more like you're in this room with other, albeit virtual people.
Yeah.
Watching this comedian on stage. And then for performers, like music performers, it would be the same thing, where you guys could literally just be set up there with your like, translating cameras on you and doing your gig from the comfort of your own living room,
Yeah.
but have it look like you were on this stage in the middle of the Grand fucking Canyon. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it opens up a lot of interesting possibilities for performers and artists to create and express themselves. So yeah, it'll be wild to see, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I may or may not be super jealous that Post Malone got to ride a Pokemon while doing a song. And I mean, hey, if that's something that, I'm just putting it out into the ether. If anyone is just, programming some Pokemon, I would love to be on top of one singing a song.
Sure. And this is going to be an opportunity for the artists that have more to show too. Like we're performers first, right? So we haven't even got to show the majority of the stuff that we're like actually better at than what it is that we're doing here. But that would be such a great immersive way to create something so unique in a space that is like we control, right? And we can make things that just have not existed before.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the show Sleep No More by any chance?
No, I'm not.
It was produced by the company Punch Drunk, and it's in New York City, and everybody wears a mask whenever you go into the show, and it's this whole big thing. Won't give away too much about it, but it's basically a take on Macbeth, and each character, but it's 3 floors in like a big, basically warehouse in New York City, and you get a choice to follow your character around, and like check out what they're doing and see their interactions with other characters, but you never get like the full experience unless you've seen the show multiple times. So like what a cool thing that other people may get to experience in that realm of the multiverse, where you can have so many different things going on at the same time. And yeah, like talk about an opportunity there for immersive theater.
Totally. We're ready.
Well done. Where's your director? Like
that's our pitch.
You guys have some awesome side language going on back behind the camera there, like whatever he's telling you guys to do, like because
we never are apart.
Yeah, that's around each other a little too much.
Remember that you run really hard into each other until you're one thing?
Yeah,
kind of what we did.
Reminds me of I love the movie American Ultra. They're using the tree in the car.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but then after that's done, the tree in the car are one.
Yeah. We always do like dumb visuals about that. We're like, imagine that and that ran really hard at each other.
Really well, yeah, that would work. I can see it.
Oh shit. Imagine let's do that thought experiment with Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau.
Could you imagine?
I wonder what that would look like.
Not that.
Yeah, it was like
his face.
Yeah, so confused.
Yeah,
yeah, just that.
Yeah,
it would be like Trudeau's hair with Biden's face. Is not really knowing where they are.
Yeah, but it's
awesome.
It's the Canadian pin with in the United States flag though.
Yeah.
I really went to a whole place. You don't want to see what just happened in my brain.
Yeah.
I kind of do.
It's a scary place.
I kind of do. Like we need that technology. Where's Elon? Get him on the phone. We need that technology.
Elon, I do.
We both look.
Well, that's coming too, right? Like I can't. Oh fuck! What did I remember? It was one of the major tech magazines talking about them getting full scan images of people's dreams and stuff like that, right? And that's scary because I don't know.
That is a Pandora's box that I would like to remain closed,
right?
Indefinitely.
Have you ever seen a biometric system like camera, like those right? You know that they're putting those in Walmarts.
For what? In Walmart, that's like the worst place to try to.
I worked for BMO Field. I worked for BMO Field for years. BMO Field, the big soccer stadium.
Yeah.
It was my job to look after security cameras. So I at one point in time they wanted to like update the system, and so I'd done all kinds of research on security cameras, and I got into the biometric stuff. and they were just building BioSteel at the time, which was, or I think they renamed it, but it's a training facility for the Toronto Raptors. And they had this, it's like an underwater treadmill. But there's a camera in there that like reads the player while they're there, and then it puts up on the screen this like basically like it kind of looks like a holographic image the way it's like so 3D. Biometric version of them, so like all of like what's going on in their body and all of that stuff, and then like all the data's on the screen of all of that. So but I was like checking out that particular camera because I'm like, could you imagine, in my evil little mind at the time, I'm like, could you imagine if I had one of these for like one of my cameras at BMO? Because like I would catch every scalper. I would catch every kid who lit off a firecracker in the stand, you know, like every asshole with a flare. I'd catch them all.
I guess you answered my question then.
And so I did a bunch of research into those cameras and how they work and everything. And I got familiar with what they look like. And then I go into Walmart just a little bit after the Joy kind of made its rounds, when they first opened things back up, and I realized that they have those cameras in there. And I'm like, well, that's fucking weird.
Right?
I
just feel like there's like better places for those.
Yeah.
Like really, like that's where you want to put them.
Yeah. And then I got freaked out again because actually one of my first security camera jobs, I was working in this porn store, and they had a lot of theft. A lot of people steal porn shit, right? Because they're scared to go up and drop it off. But like there's sex toys, all that stuff. So one of the things that I introduced to the owner was the item detection software. So you can like have a camera that looks at the shelf, it reads all the items on the shelf basically, and if something goes missing off the shelf or if something gets moved, there's an alarm there. There's like a note on the camera, I can go in and check it. We can cross-reference that with sales, make sure that that item got sold, otherwise it got stolen. That's the way that would work. So I'm at the grocery store and I'm doing one of those self-checkout things, which, you know, that's fucking everywhere now too, right? Like all of a sudden you don't see tellers anymore. It's like, check yourself out.
You got this.
But so I'm doing this, and I don't know that I need to, like, the place, the bagging area, that's what they call it, where you set stuff after you scan it. It's not weighted in any sort of way, so I didn't realize, like, you know, I had to set stuff down on it. But I do a scan, and then I scan something else, and it won't scan, and I'm holding the first thing, right? And I'm like, what's going on here? Why won't it scan? And it's like, please set the item in the bagging area. Okay, so I set it down, and it knows that I set it down. So I'm getting, okay, this thing has item detection. As I pick it up, it's reading it, and as I scan it. So that's creepy, right? And the third thing I wanted to mention was facial recognition software. You can get some really cool facial recognition software. The best ones will work on just the eyes. Yeah. Right? So what have we been doing for a year and a bit? Well, they've been installing all these new cameras. We've been helping them calibrate facial recognition systems. Right? And then, how do you get your image into the multiverse? Well, with a full scan of your face. You know, Alex, you model and stuff. You might have actually done this at some point.
Like, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
And all the I've done some like mocap stuff, which is, you know, whenever they have to literally all of the dots
dot you up.
You get it for every quarter inch of your face. If I ever committed a major crime, I would be toast.
Yeah, we're gone.
Sure.
We're already way busted.
And
they could straight up deep fake you. Like I could get my own Alex at this point.
Oh, I would not doubt that for a singular second.
Yeah.
Actually, not a bad idea.
Good thing this is going. Yeah, this part will be cut out of it. This will be in the moon.
Oh yeah, shit, we're recording a podcast. I need to pay attention. But yeah, that's you know, it's going to be an interesting time because you know, on one hand I look at, like, you know, that scares the fucking bejesus out of me. But on the other hand, I look at, like, what happens if I just picture that as a tool and I give it to a couple people like you and say, go, right? Like, create for me.
We will.
Right?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Exactly.
But you're right. Like
Where's the line?
Where's the line? Because I mean, it's you saying that, for example, if you're able to deep fake someone in the metaverse so well that you are now me,
Based on all metrics measurable.
you to anyone with eyeballs, you're me, right? And now there's 9 of me, people making money now off of my image that I now for once fully own, right? I now fully have like rights to myself. And now
The NFT.
but now you can but now there's clones of people all over the place.
And
then what?
But on the other hand of that, right? So then obviously there's going to have to be some parental controls, right? So then you get into a whole other conversation where if there's, creepy people and you have to get all this information to get into a certain, it's like, isn't there a Black Mirror episode about that? But like something, I'm pretty sure there is, but that idea where identity versus ability to get into places in the metaverse, right? And then you have these kids that are still going, at the end of the day, kids are going to be kids. That's also a scary realm for certain situations.
And
Yeah,
kids
I
are
think
growing up in this.
Yeah,
They're gonna be so much better than us at it.
well, they already are. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like I was sitting with my kid one time and his sick kids, and she was talking to I think she was only like 14, no, like I mean 13, 12. She was 12 at the time. And she's talking to these two 18-year-old kids about computers and computer programming.
Mhm.
And there comes a point where one of the kids' dads is with them. There comes a point where they're having a good conversation, and then all of a sudden it's like just my kid talking, and then it's just my kid talking, and I look over and the other 2 kids look confused. And I'm like, what's up? They're like, she's talking over our heads. Like, I don't know how to do the stuff she's talking about doing. And then the dad goes, I work as a coder at IBM and I barely understand
Oh, wow.
that she's saying. So I've had this theory that like these souls are incarnating here are just like hardwired for this technology
Oh,
to
yeah, they just
run
know.
the universe, right? Or run the metaverse.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
crazy stuff.
So wild, yeah.
absolutely.
But I mean, it's the way to get ahead of it.
It's going there. Like it or not, how do you utilize it and try to make it one
beneficial
and benefit the world at the same time while trying to do the best and create it in all the different ways.
Well, exactly. You're still gonna, I mean, you've got it on Instagram now. You see, like, I at least once a week see one of my female friends posting that some dude is like duplicating her account. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just translate that into the metaverse. And then you've also got what you alluded to earlier, the other side of it. I think it was actually Ready Player One, where the one girl kept saying, as he was falling in love with the girl in the metaverse, the other his buddies like, she could be some fat dude living in her grandma's basement or something to that effect. And then it turned out that he was actually a she living in her grandma's basement. Right?
Right.
So, and that's the whole other aspect of it. It reminds me a little bit more of like the early internet days where it was like Wild West AOL chat rooms. And
ASL.
Yeah. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking to on the other end, right?
Yeah.
It's like all these people
You can
trying to
be
get your
whatever you
phone
want.
number. Yeah. And once things become, when you're talking about like cryptocurrencies and things like that, when it starts becoming purely digital and there is nothing in the real world to say that backs it up. I had someone on this podcast a few episodes ago showing, I think they call them ledgers, which is where you store like NFT information and your crypto information, right?
Yeah.
But it's a flash drive. Right. It's not a bank account that a bank insures and looks after for you, that, is at a place and your money's in a vault and, you can go out and withdraw that money. That's not it anymore. It's now this little flash drive. So that, again, risk and opportunity presenting itself where it's like now and a lot of it's going to come down to responsibility.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which, and this is where like my hope for it lies in like, people like you guys and people like the kids we're talking about who are going to adapt to this really quickly. injecting a human element into all of this
Absolutely.
and keeping it
And
human.
there's gonna have to be, or else we lose everything.
Yeah, it becomes the Wild West in a more dangerous way, because
there's
at the same time, right, you figure we grew up at a time where the internet wasn't a thing. Like we came into it, but I didn't have it my entire life. And understanding that if you like the talking smack on people on the internet, but then you're going to have to probably see those people in real life. So there was going to still have to be a human portion of that. Like removing that totally creates a very weird element that you see.
Like zero accountability.
Yeah, like I can go in if my avatar is not me and I don't really have to register it as me, you can't. And I can kind of go in and be a turd, a giant flaming turd, and have no repercussions. So I don't know, like that. Of course, that's a scary thing, but so is life. But how do you hold that accountability?
Yeah, and what will that look like?
It all comes down to personal responsibility, right? Like we all make our choices every day, whether or not we're going to, choose the dark side or the light side of the force, so to speak, right? So
definitely.
I'm just hopeful that people are going to. I guess my overall fear is that humanity will get lost, right? Like I'm okay with evolving. I'm okay with adapting to changes in our environment, along with those changes in our environment, and this changes technology.
Yeah.
But as long as we can, I just really hope that we can keep what makes us us. And
Yeah.
I do think that an element of that does come from nature. It does come from being out in the forest and being in a lake and seeing the ocean and feeling how small you really are, and getting to that place like where there's not a lot of light pollution, you can actually see stars, right? Like
I think we got a good taste of that in the last year too. I mean, we've all been forced to be so separate and anonymous over the last 2 years that all people want to be able to do is hang out together again. Like that's been the overarching thing, is like, when can we hang out again? So I think, and I mean, as cool and new as this is going to be for a while, everything fades out after a minute, and you can kind of come down off of that and realize like, oh man, I miss people, which is like what I hope. And I mean, like I said, we got like a small dose of that this year, I think, because although we still had access to each other and we still, could go over and go do things literally whenever we actually wanted to, but like, people still were missing that. And that was kind of the broader picture of everything, is like everyone wanted to still be able to connect to one another. So that's hopeful, right?
Yeah, the nature situation of it, though.
Yeah.
But I think that also applies to that, being able to hug somebody and like the obvious chemical reaction to a
like
hug,
organic.
Right? Oxytocin is released to feel good whenever you have that embrace of a person, and like those things that I think plays on our humanity. And those are the things that continually allow us to further have empathy and natural empathy, even for, chemical imbalance is a real thing. But those situations, being able to go be in a forest and look around and be like, oh shit, if I get lost, like I don't have cell phone service. I can't, this world disappears very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's gone.
Yeah.
And now
I have to exist here. Yeah, I think that's an important feeling in life, to realize that there's that whole big world out there, and to even travel over the border and be able to see things in a different country that is so close. I mean, Pittsburgh, what?
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours? Yeah. We're not that far apart, but like we are still a country away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is because I think that idea, going to see the mountains in the metaverse would be sick, but like
you can't smell
you can't look up there and be like, holy shit, like what in that is out here and I've never seen that kind of deal. Like yeah, I think there's the natural element versus the
tangible element.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess what's next for you guys is working on this album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. It's like a very it's like a heavy project. It's again, the joy made us feel a lot of not joy for a while, and that all came out in weird ways, and we worked through a lot of shit, but we didn't. I mean, I feel like we touched on a lot of things in this album that people are afraid to. A lot of places people are afraid to go, and we just pulled the trigger and went, and it's good. It feels good to put it out there in an honest way that hopefully can like someone else could hear it and be like, oh man, cool, all right, not just me. Not just me then.
Yeah, I feel like so often, and as artists, right, we want, the reason we like things a lot of the time, right, how it sounds, how it makes us feel, and then if you really like lyrics and you really read into them, the song, you might listen to a song and you might hear something and connect to it with an experience that you've had. But that might not at all be what the song is about. So we have a lot of kind of, I don't want to say nets, but more specific.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, more specific nets. Here's what we're saying. If that applies to you, then it applies to you. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Yeah, and in whatever way you need it to.
Totally. And yeah, I think some of the songs that attack heavy subjects are so overt and so pinpointed that it makes it a little bit harder to connect with. Like the overarching theme, of course, I can like the sadness maybe that comes with it, or maybe not even that far that I'm able to relate to that. So what we try to do is do it in a creative way, but not a secretive hidden meaning way that it's like, if you don't know what we're talking about, then you don't know what we're talking about. Like if you think that's what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. Whether we are or we aren't, that is absolutely, because that's what you're feeling in it. So yeah, we're very excited and very proud of this one. This was the first time that we wrote exclusively for each other, that it was each other's parts, and me coming from a rap background and her coming from a rock background was very interesting at times.
Hey, your girl wrote a rap verse on this one.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So yeah, we're very, very excited, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a very cool way to sum up the, all the curveballs that have come. There are people that are going to sit around, and there are people that are going to make the lemonade. And we were like, which one are we going to be? Which one are we going to be here? Because we had two choices. And that's what we decided to do with it. And it hasn't been easy. We've been living, out of random Airbnbs in Greektown on the floor. And, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. it's been we've been down there, but it's good. It's just nice to bring something honest to a world that like right now seems like isn't really honest.
Or in the opposite way, everyone trying to make like that version popular, or like mainstream in a weird way, not like an authentic mainstream. It's like, oh, being sad or being like in that mental state is like cool.
Yeah, we're not gonna do anything about it. We're gonna stay here, and it's gonna be fine. Everyone's gonna be fine.
Oh yeah, celebrate it.
No solution, just sad.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Which is cool for a second. If you need to be sad, be sad. But come on, let's figure out together how to maybe create a little bit of a better community dialogue around that, about what it is to be sad.
That's a very important topic for sure. You guys mentioned it was a concept record. Do you have ideas as you're writing it, like kind of multimedia? Like, do you have the idea, like in terms of the look for and all that? Or are you going to deal with that later?
Yeah. With the album covers done.
Yes.
We are actually writing a short film that will go alongside it as an extra as well. That everything's going to kind of tie into, which is really
very
exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, as we were finished, we actually wrote it. We recorded it in Toronto a couple weeks ago at Polson Pier, and on the drive home, we were like, thinking of ideas, and
Yeah.
we came up with just the coolest idea. Well, we think it is for a short film. And again, it's like super twisted and weird, but it's like something that I don't think it's gonna probably make a lot of people uncomfortable in a cool way.
And like to the yin and yang of our different personalities and experiences, like it's very much in the Venn diagram area of it. Like that, no matter how you've experienced this feeling, this trauma, for lack of a better word, because I think that is such a broad term that gets overused and is almost numbing at this point from mainstream media. But that in your life and the highs and the lows and everywhere in between, and what kind of drives that. So yeah, we kind of came up with our own version of that, and we're pretty stoked on getting ready to put that into action and make it an experience versus a visual plus the audio and the everything in between.
Yeah.
Sounds brilliant, guys. I can't wait. That's gonna be awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I will let you guys get on with your evening. I'm very glad that you guys did this. Alex, it's been great kind of getting to meet you, and I'm sure when
we'll hang
you
out.
guys pass through next time, we'll find the time to hang out.
Totally.
But yeah, you know, hope the joy is good to you.
Thank you.
Same.
As awful as that is to sound, you know, I just, you know,
what
I know
else are we
it's
gonna
bad.
do at this point?
Yeah, I mean,
That's right.
You sit or
And,
you stand.
You know, thank you for adjusting the timelines and getting the Cabbage Patch Kids out of my memory.
Yeah, hey, we do what we can.
Yeah. When in Rome, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, guys. Bye to you, and bye to everyone at home.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.